where we start. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be flipping from these slides into IDEA, so that I will go through IDEA and execute these commands at the same time that you do, so that we can actually look at what is actually happening. Okay, so I'm now going to flip over into IDEA. I've already started it, but for your purposes, it would be starting from your program's IDEA, and then it's going to ask you to set the working folder. Now, the working folder is a piece of the disk which will contain all of your data files, all of your equations, all of your views, and all of your import definitions. So let me switch over into IDEA. And I have currently opened up through File, set my working folder, and I've chosen one called Samples. You should find on your disk one called Samples. It comes standard with IDEA, and I've specifically chosen to use that one so that we can use the files that came with IDEA. It will then ask you for a project name and a period. I'm calling this one Webinar. And that brings me into this particular one, and I can look in there and I'll see all of these sample files, etc. Now, you'll see at the moment on the bar along the top, the button bar, everything is grayed out because nothing is active. So I'll pick up a file, any file. I'll simply double click on it, and all of a sudden everything becomes active. And you'll see that we've got 8 different areas within that screen. Up at the top, we have the standard menu bar, which looks like any other Windows menu bar with File, Edit, View, Data, etc. Below that, we have the Operations Toolbar. Okay. And you can see on there, we've got all of these tools that we can look at and do things with. Okay. Over here, we have the File Explorer toolbar. At the moment, we're in File Management. I can change the tree view, I can refresh the list, I can change the display so that I can expand all, collapse this one selected one, so I can collapse that and it's no longer shown, or I can expand it. And again, I can delete files or folders, etc. The standard stuff. We have within this the File Explorer toolbar, which is actually just below what you can see on my screen at the moment. Let me drop that down and you can see it down here, where you're seeing running tasks, to-do list, etc. The standard, once again, information that you would expect to find on a Windows toolbar. We also have the database toolbar. This is the working area that the auditor would normally look at. This is where all of your data is going to arrive, and you can look at it, you can interrogate it, etc. We also have, again at the bottom, what are called Flyout Toolbar, Flyout windows rather, where we can see the running tasks, we can see any to-do list that we've got, search results, conclusions, etc. We have a status bar, which will show us where we are and what we're in. And we have over here our properties window. And you can see that we're ticked at the moment on data. So in here we're seeing the data. I can also look at the history. And within that I can see that this is a file that was imported from Excel. There's imported from program files, IDEA, user file samples. Data source was Excel. The sheet name it's called Advanced Statistical Methods. 480 records on it, etc. And that is the IDEA script, the code that was used to create this. Now, when you become an advanced user, you can create your own code, or you can pick up this code, copy it, edit it, and it can then become tailored for your particular organization. We can also look at field statistics. Now, field statistics allows us to look within our data. So if I look back at my data, I can look at the field statistics, and what it's giving me is for each numeric field. So we've got average temperature, heating cost, year average, etc. I can see the net value, the absolute value. Now, absolute value normally confuses people. It's a statistical term, and what it involves is taking the positives and the negatives, removing any sign. So if you've got, you can see down here, we've got a -5 in there. It will remove that that -5, and add the two numbers together. Here you'll see we've got 7,900 positive values. We've got -35, giving us a net value of 7,865. But if I remove that minus and add those two numbers together, I end up with 7,935. Or to put it another way, the number of numbers between 7,900 and -35 is 7,935. And it will give me the absolute value for all of these figures. It's used in statistics when you're trying to calculate intervals. We've got 480 records, we've got 5 zero items, 7,900 positive items, 35 negatives, which gives us 465 of our records are positive, 10 of them are negative, and 5 of them, of course, we know are zero. There are no data errors that's found. It's given us 480 valid field values. If it finds anything abnormal, like an alpha in a numeric field, it will tell me that. It gives me the number of records at minimum, number of records at maximum, and a standard deviation. Gives us our population variance, our population skew, and our kurtosis. When you get into advanced statistics, that's very useful stuff. Okay, so let me go back into data. And again, now that I'm in my data, I can say that, for example, I want to take a control total of whichever I choose, salary. And there's my control total there right away. Now, I might be interested in that, but I might be only interested in it for branch B. You can see we've got branch A, B, C, D, etc. So I can go into my criteria and say, I want to know if the branch is equal to B. When I'm happy, I can give it a big green tick, so I've got branch equal to B. We'll come back so that you can try these yourself. And I'll give it a big green tick. And I've dropped all of the other ones. Let me just unlock that taskbar so that I can slide down here. And you can see at the bottom now, it's showing the number of records I can see are 96 out of 480. Okay, so 96 are in branch B. All of the rest are still there, but I've only got that. I can, and you can see the control total says 76 million. If I clear, I've got them all on the screen again, and the control total is up at 425. So if you want to try that, we're sitting in data. Okay, pick a file, any file. I've chosen that one that said sample advanced statistical methods, which happens to be the first one on the list. So if you double click on that to bring it in the middle, and then you'll see over on the properties that data is highlighted. If you click on history, you're into your history. If we go back to data, you can look at the field statistics on the data, and you can see it's highlighted them all. If I take off these ticks, I can reduce the ones that I'm interested in so that I've only got the salary, if that's what you want. That's showing me all of the files and all of the records, etc. You'll see I've got some there that are marked minimum value. If I click on that, there's the one with the minimum value. If I want to see the maximum value, and there it is there. Anything that's in blue, I can look at in detail. If I want to look at the positive records, there they all are. Coming back into your data, you can then go and browse through the data. So have a look through some of these at your own leisure. In the meantime, we'll go back into data, and you can see I took a control total. And I chose to do it on the salary. I could have done it on the average temperature. Doesn't really make much sense taking totals of averages. But if I wanted that as a hash total for the file, just a meaningless total that I can use for reconciling the file somewhere else, then I can pick it up on any field, whether it makes sense to do so or not. My choice. I'll go back to salary because that's a meaningful number to add up. I could have picked up the heating costs or anything else that I chose. Now I want to look only for, let's say, branch A. So I'll go into my criteria and I'll put in a filter. And the filter is going to be the branch. So I double click on branch. Up here we have equals. So I want a single equals. And I'm going to put in an A. Now, A is alpha. It's a string character. You can see down there it says character. So I'll put in a quotes, and in between them I'll put A. So it now reads branch equals quotes A quotes. And I can give it the big green tick. And now I only have A. And again, at the bottom of your screen, I think what I'll do actually to make it easier for you is I'm just going to expand this and do it this way. So that makes it easier for me to jump around, and it makes it easier for you to see it. But you can see there we've got 96 records out of 480. It also shows you how much free disk space you have in case you're looking to import even bigger files. Okay. So if we're happy, then that's fine. What we can also do, I will take out that right-click on it and clear it. So I'm back to everything again. And now I want to build some indexes. So I'm going to build some indexes based on the information that I'm looking at within my file. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is decide what I want an index on. So let's say we want this in branch order. To get it into branch order, I can simply go in there and click on branch, and you can see there's a little down arrow there. If I double click in there, it's in alphabetic order, and you can see I've now got branch starting at A. It's ascending order. If I click again, I now have another index which is the branch in descending order. So I can look at branch A and I can look at branch B. Are we happy? Again, I can go back to no index and put it back the way it was. I can delete those indexes the same way, right-click and delete index, and right-click and delete the index if I have no further need for them. Okay, that's very interesting, but you're not really all that interested in those statistical samples. So let's bring in a file.